Hello there. Hello there, you impertinent panda. And welcome to the first ever live edition, apart from that tester I did the other night, of Jason Arnopp's terrifying House of Obsession. Look, I made a bit of an effort around the room. What do you think? Yeah, there's a pumpkin over there, a few candles. There's a banner back there that you can't even see because of Jason Voorhees just putting his oar in and getting in the way. Ridiculous. What do you think you're doing, Mr. Voorhees? Well, apart from killing people. Yes, this live stream is sponsored by something wines. No, it's not really. This is just some wine I bought to celebrate the release of my new novel, Ghoster. And I swear I'm only going to pick up this book and hold it up to the camera about 87 times during this live stream. But I will leave a gap of 1 hour between each instance of that. Hello folks, nice to see a bit of chat pouring in. First thing to say is ask me a question, put it in chat. I don't know why I'm pointing over there. It's there for me, maybe it's there for you, I don't know. But have a look in that chat box, type something into it that looks like a question, and I might answer it. Well, I'll try to answer everything. So let's see, let's say hello to a few people. Hello Phil Stark. Phil is appreciating RoboCop back there. This is actually a standee, as a RoboCop aficionado would probably be able to know. That's a standee for RoboCop 3, which I don't remember being the finest sequel, but you know, you can't pick and choose with standees. I mean, I've got a really nice video standee thing from a video shop. Another RoboCop one that's for the RoboCop TV series. You know, it looks great though. It's still RoboCop. Hello Bad Wolf Archives, thank you for joining us, and hello Gardenius6. You said you were coming along to this and you did not let me down. Thank you very much. Happy Ghoster Day, says Gardenius6. That's very kind of you. Cliff Shelton. I was speaking to Cliff Shelton earlier on the Facebooks, and he said he was having a busy evening, but he'd drop in if he could. So thank you, Cliff. Jane Atkinson, hooray. Marvellous. I'm not going to sing a song every time I hold up a copy of Ghoster. Nobody wants that. Thank you, Ryan McGiven. Nice Cyberman head, he says. Cliff loves the Cyberman head as well. And there's Warren Hart. He's an incredible video collector, Warren Hart. He's got a ridiculous video collection. It's more ridiculous than mine, and that is saying something, isn't it, Warren? So, ask me any question you like about anything. You can ask me about writing, about this new novel, Ghoster, about retro stuff, Doctor Who, whatever pleases you. And I'm going to do various things during this live stream. It probably won't be the longest live stream in the world, but I am going to do a few things. Firstly, the questions, ask me anything you like. I'm going to show you some video nasties. There's a quick flash of one. Whoa. And I'm also going to unbox the Doctor Who box set. Doctor Who season 23. Now I know it's a bit unorthodox to unbox something during a live stream like this, but that's why I'm doing it, because I've had this box set for ages and I meant to do an unboxing video on it. I did do a video, don't know if you saw it, on this channel with Eric Saywood and Christopher Bidmead arguing about the you know, the season 23 scenario. But then I wanted to do an unboxing video and I fell ill. I've been ill for like 10 days. I'm out at the end of it now though. Okay, thanks for asking. I am definitely grateful for a few things tonight. I'm grateful that I can speak, because a week ago I had a throat full of broken glass and just couldn't say anything really. So this would have been a pretty poor live stream. It would have been me gesticulating and, you know, maybe doing semaphore, something like that. That would be no good. That would be no good, would it? Cheers. Thanks for coming. Now, so I'm going to do those things. Questions, video nasties, Doctor Who, unboxing, and also I'm going to do a live draw, because on my website at jasonarnott.com/ghoster, there's a list of 109 people who all pre-ordered this book and then told me that they had pre-ordered it, showed me like the receipt, you know, the confirmation email, whatever. So I put them on this list on my website, and I am going to choose one of the first 100 pre-orderers randomly to win a signed and dedicated US hardback of my first novel, the 2016 novel, The Last Days of Jack Sparks, with a lovely Jack Sparks bookmark. Look at that. Definitely don't look at this Alan Moore quote, which describes the book as a magnificent millennial nightmare. Definitely don't pay too much attention to that. No, Lord, no. I don't want you reading that. Also in this book, there are some red pen edit pages. And what I mean by that are literally the pages that I used during the creation of the novel. I print out pages when I'm editing them, and I scribble on them with red pen to denote the changes that I intend to make to the file later on. So that's a nice prize, but I'm not going to just do one prize draw. I'm going to do the first prize draw for the first 100 people as promised, and then I'm going to do a bonus prize draw for the same prize, another book with another bookmark. I know, no expense spared, and another set of different red pen edit pages, and they'll go to one of the 109 people who have pre-ordered the novel. So all 109 people will be included in that prize draw, and I'll be doing that in a little bit. Now I've got a question I want to kick off with. A lovely question from that Vicky Brewster gave to me on Twitter before I came online to this stream. And so if you do have any other questions, then like I've said, put them in the chat and I'll try and get to them. But Vicky says to me on the Twitters, she says, "You are one of very few authors embracing pervasive smart technology in horror." Thank you, Vicky. Thank you. What do you think social media and smartphones add to the horror genre? And that's a really good question. What do those things add to the horror genre? I think, well, I'm always someone who likes stories set in the here and now. You know, I'm very much a fan of contemporary stories, full stop. I was going to say contemporary horror, but you know, contemporary is my thing, just full stop. And if horror thrives on one thing, sorry, I just poked the microphone there and I did it again, didn't I? If horror thrives on one thing, it's the unknown. And social media and smartphones and the online world in general, which hardly existed like, 25 years ago, are taking us and our puny, primitive brains somewhere where we can't entirely predict the consequences. This is all new. And because it's new, it's unknown. And so it's fertile soil waiting to be ploughed. Do you plough fertile soil? I think you do. Don't know much about agriculture, frankly. So that's why. I mean, I'm preoccupied with smartphones and the internet and social media because I'm curious as to, and frankly, a little bit afraid as to what they've done to our brains. So that's the kind of thing that inspires The Last Days of Jack Sparks and Ghoster, that kind of concern. But on the flip side, I love all this stuff. As you can see, I'm all over the internet on social media platforms. I mean, partly because I want to promote stuff, I suppose, and spread awareness and all that, but I also really enjoy it, and it's amazing to be able to keep in touch with people. But the thing is, you can't, all the good stuff about the internet, being able to keep in touch with people in a really fluid, super fast way, that doesn't tend to make for a very scary story, does it? You know, I couldn't really make a horror novel, a supernatural, scary novel about having a lovely chat on WhatsApp with me mate. Yeah, that wouldn't work. Yes. Let's see who else has come into chat here. Mick G. Hello, Mick G. He's got a question. I'll have a little bit of water before this, just while I read the question. Hi, Jason. A serious question. In brackets, sorry. Don't apologize, Mick. It's okay to have a serious question. Serious questions make the world go round. What are your thoughts on ebooks and self-publishing? Excuse me, still a little bit ill. A good move for the aspiring writer? Pros and cons? Let's see. First of all, I'm not so keen on the phrase aspiring writer, because if you are writing, Mick, and you finish the story, then you are a writer. So that's something to think about. If you've got aspiring writer on your bio, Mick, then go and remove that word. As long as you've finished one short story or something like that, as long as you've written stuff, you're a writer. But sorry, I'm getting off the track. I just don't like it when people put unnecessary barriers around themselves, you know, because if you're a writer, then you're a writer. So ebooks and self-publishing, yes, I think they are a very good move. And I've got a couple of shorter form things that I've just published myself onto Amazon and all the other platforms. And it's great to be able to do that for several reasons. For one thing, you have full control of it. You can put something up whenever you like, pretty much. And profit-wise, it can be quite good with something like Amazon. If you're taking 70% of the cover price of a book, that's pretty good. So yeah, I can't see any I don't see any problem with ebooks and self-publishing, as long as you're, frankly, as long as you are ready for it. If there's one thing we writers love to do, it's putting our stuff out there too soon. Yeah, I know I did it in the early days. And so I don't know what it is. For some reason, when we're newer writers, we tend to think that our stuff is ready too soon. So make sure you give it to 3 friends or 3 people you know who you know for a fact are going to give you honest feedback, and just take that story or whatever it is through the mill of a novel or whatever. Take it through the mill several thousand times until it shines, so you can see your face in it. That's the only drawback. Ebooks allow you to upload anything as soon as you like, but maybe you shouldn't in some cases, not all, clearly. I hope that's helpful, Mick. Sorry for telling you off for the aspiring writer bit there. That was a bit mean, wasn't it? But it's tough love. That's what that is. Now then, let's see. Hello, little purple goth. I do have wine. I do have wine. Now, William Gallagher has popped up in the feed, and he is a renowned scaredy cat when it comes to horror. And he asks me, is Ghoster less scary than Jack Sparks? I don't know. Actually, William, I'm going to say yes, definitely, definitely. So don't worry at all about reading it. It definitely will not scare the bejesus out of you. Actually, in truth, I don't really know whether Ghost is less or more scary or the same amount of scary as Jack Sparks. It's probably less, a little less gory than Jack Sparks. There's not so much violence in it, but you know, on balance, I think people tended to like Jack Sparks for the character of Jack and the scary stuff. Not many people were going, "Oh, great violence in that book." So hopefully, not many people are going to be disappointed that there's comparatively less violence. So, Geiger Punk is here. Hello, Geiger Punk. Rob's Retro Rambles is one of my very favourite YouTube channels, along with Steve Benway's Retro Playing channel. And so it's great to see him here. Yeah, big fan of Geiger Punk's channel. He just creates a great atmosphere for you to just sit there and watch as he plays games with delightful lava lamps in the background of the screen. Go and have a look at his channel after this. Not now, for God's sake, that'd be rude. Right, I am going to show you a video nasty. I'm going to take a break from questions. And before I show you this thing, I'm going to give you a bit of just a very brief bit of history on what a video nasty is, in case you don't know. Back in the early 80s, the whole video rental world was pretty much a wild west. Anything was allowed to be rented on the shelves of video shops, and distributors took advantage of this. You know, they wanted to fill the video rental shops' shelves with the most lurid and inviting and depraved films that they possibly could. And that was all great and well and fun for a while, but eventually the powers that be realized that it was a lawless Wild West, and they wanted to do something about it, because obviously we can't have things that are unregulated, can we? Oh my goodness me, no. And then, you know, they would go into shops and realize that things like Cannibal Holocaust were sitting on the shelves with, you know, probably the same shops that kids might go in to buy sweets in some cases, because, you know, there are a lot of cottage industries springing up around video rental, wasn't there? If you remember, if you're old enough to remember, there was like news agents would get a load of videos in and rent them out. So yeah, you'd have Cannibal Holocaust sitting next to Quality Street and a copy of Razzle, and yeah, Cannibal Holocaust. Let's have a look at this. I mean, what a lovely cover. There's quite a few. Yeah. I mean, that's a remarkable cover, isn't it? It's not actually. Well, I suppose it is that. It is kind of graphic, but it's not as graphic as a photo of the same thing might be. And Cannibal Holocaust is a very graphic film indeed. It's a really horrible film, and I can't actually watch it in this uncut version now because the uncut version features cruelty to animals and murder of animals, so I can't be dealing with that. But apparently there is a cut version that the director's done now. Anyway, this is the sort of thing you'd see on the shelves in Wild West VHS Britain. Yes. Well, hopefully, no, there's nothing there to contravene YouTube's regulations. Look at the quality of that. See, there's one nice advantage to videos. You can just look at them and you can see pretty much where in the film you are. I quite like that. Whereas you look at a DVD and it just, all you can do is just see your face in it. You can't see any evidence of where the actual film is. I mean, I really like Blu-rays too, and I love Blu-rays. I've got plenty of those. But there's something about VHS. Look at that. Look at it's like a chunky thing. It feels like a movie. That feels like a movie, doesn't it? Yeah. So Cannibal Holocaust really didn't help when it came to the eventual banning of 74 horror movies in the UK. Yeah, they were pretty much all horror films. So 72 films got banned, got withdrawn from shelves, often by police. And what a ridiculous state of affairs that was. It was just using a sledgehammer to crush a walnut. I think that's the expression. Is that an actual expression? Not entirely sure. Now then. Geiger Punk asked me earlier, I didn't realise this, he asked me, is Ghoster gory? No, not particularly, but it has its moments. So look out for those. Yes. Phil Stark, hello Phil, he says, which do you prefer, Cannibal Holocaust or Cannibal Ferox? I don't know, it's really hard to say. I think as films, Holocaust is probably better because it actually has a point to make. I mean, yeah, that's a really interesting thing to say about Cannibal Holocaust. It was actually was really one of the first found footage films, because the whole conceit of the film is that these canisters of film come back from, I think, the Amazonian rainforest, I guess, where these documentary filmmakers went to film and document tribes. And of course, the worst happens to them. They should have known. Did they not realize they were in a film called Cannibal Holocaust? I suppose not. And so, yeah, it's kind of, I mean, the Blair Witch filmmakers, as far as I'm aware, have cited Cannibal Holocaust as one of their influences, and it's easy to see why. So I think Holocaust is probably better. I can't watch either of those films uncut because they both feature animal slaughter, which just seems, I mean, that just seems ridiculous now. I mean, it was insane back then and really horrible. But of course, when you're a teenager, when you don't have much of a conscience about anything, you just go, oh, cool, whoa, animals being killed. Whereas now, I think if I saw that again, that would scar me for life. Ryan McGiven, hello again, Ryan. Ryan says, I studied Cannibal Holocaust at college. I regretted it. What, did you do a paper on Cannibal Holocaust or something? That is quite remarkable. Shipwreck Studios, this is Cliff Shelton, I think. He says, or he asks, I would love, excuse me, that's not Cliff coughing there, that was me. I'd love to know how to get my novel started as well. Any pointers other than keep writing? And I love that box set, been watching it. I think Cliff might mean this. Maybe I was waggling this around in front of the camera when Cliff wrote this question. He's been watching it. In fact, your writer's video inspired me to buy it. Oh, okay. He was talking about the Doctor Who box set. Oh, that's good. I'm glad you enjoyed the writer's video. Uh, right, get your novel started. Keep writing is. I know nobody wants to hear it, but really the only answer to getting a novel done is to sit down and keep writing until it is done. Having said that, there are things you can do that can make the whole process a lot easier. And I've come to think that, I mean, I've kind of done this the other way around. I mean, in my sort of, these days, I tend to plan quite a lot more. What I should have done was plan a lot more from the start. And I would advise anybody now to plan out their novel as much as they can before they start, because then you've got a map. It's kind of hard if a novel is a marathon trek through a dark jungle, then you kind of would want a map, and obviously some form of tinderbox / torch as well, wouldn't you? But yeah, why not have a map? Why not have a map that you can create for yourself and take it into that jungle so you don't get derailed, you don't get lost? I kind of mixed up the metaphors there, didn't I? You can't really get derailed in a dark jungle, can you? Unfortunate. Still, yeah, that's my, within the parameters of, that's quite a broad question. So within the parameters of a video like this, I would say the best thing you can do to help yourself get started and make sure you continue in a way that will see you through to the end is to have that map and especially know what the end of the novel is, and then you can work, if necessary, work backwards from that to the start. Whatever works. I'm not all that big on really prescriptive structure in writing or any kind of system. I just think if it works, it works. Whatever works for you. Ryan has come back to me on his on studying Cannibal Holocaust at college. It was a subject on video nasties as part of my media course. Oh, nice. And we were shown the uncut version of Cannibal Holocaust. Jesus. Oh, hello, Kendra. Kendra has asked a question about my novella, The Beast in the Basement, which you can find on Amazon. Actually, yes. And Kendra asks, is the character with the surname Sparks in Beast in the Basement related in some way to Jack, meaning my character Jack Sparks from The Last Days of Jack Sparks? No. And to be honest with you, I don't entirely have a good explanation for why both characters are called Sparks. I might have planned something at some point, some kind of crossover between the two, but I don't think so. I think, to be honest, I think I just really liked the name. I liked the name Sparks, so I used it in Beast in the Basement. And then, this is quite interesting, as long as you're interested in The Last Days of Jack Sparks. The name of the main character in The Last Days of Jack Sparks wasn't Jack Sparks at the beginning. It was something completely different. In fact, and this is quite grim, I had a name for the character, and this character is a journalist, a music journalist. And so I had this name. I won't say what this name was, but and then I realized that it was the name of a journalist who'd actually been murdered in real life. And so I thought, oh my God, where did that come from, like my subconscious or something? Because obviously in The Last Days of Jack Sparks, Jack dies. So I couldn't do that. And then it became Jack Strike. I don't know why Jack Strike. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know why. I mean, J.K. Rowling already had her character Cormoran Strike, right? So that would have been really bad. But anyway, ended up being Jack Sparks. Somehow the penny dropped and Jack Sparks it was, and I'm glad that happened. Thank you for that question, Kendra. I appreciate that. It's nice to get a question about one of the lesser known books. I really like Beast in the Basement. It helped get me my agent, actually. So it's good. And that Mick G, you might like to note that Beast in the Basement was self-published as well. So that's another point in the favor of self-published books. Agents don't, when it comes to writing samples, agents don't really care whether it's self-published or unpublished. They just want to see if you can write. Let's see now. Actually, hold on. It's video nasty time again. It's time for a video nasty interlude. Now, I was a kid going into Lowestoft Library. I've got no idea how old I was or how young I was, but on the shelves there are all these horror films, and they just kind of just blew me away, these covers. And the cover that disturbed me most and excited me most at the same time was this. Don't Go in the House. It's a film about a guy who lures people into his home and then burns them to death. As you can see, that's a charred body. And he looks a bit like a beekeeper there, I'll grant you, but he's just used a flamethrower to burn a woman to death, which is, you know, it's just impolite, isn't it? Impolite, in my opinion. So imagine little me, little Jason Arnott, standing there in Lowestoft Library in Suffolk, looking up at this and thinking, my God, I'm never going to be allowed to watch this. Yeah. And I probably shouldn't have been at that age. I don't know how old I was. I guess I must have been, I don't know, early teens. But I just think that's an incredible cover. It's just so stark and so grim. And on the back here, you've got a lady with her barnet on fire. See, those straighteners there. You've really got to unplug those straighteners. I tell people all the time, but do they listen to me? Clearly not. Clearly not. It's a pretty good film. It's along the lines of Psycho, actually. It's very much along the lines of Psycho. It's like a nastier Psycho. And if I remember rightly, the tape label, I know tape labels are only strictly for geeks, but look at that. Shiny, shiny. It probably isn't coming across on my weak webcam, but it's kind of a shiny gold label. You can't beat a bit of that. So yeah, this was, as soon as the authorities realised what was going on with this, they got the police to whisk this off the shelves, and it was never seen on the shelves again. It's out on DVD now, I think uncut. Now here's the thing about video nasties. This kind of blows my mind and just really hammers home how stupid censorship is. There's a film called Nightmares in a Damaged Brain. Nightmares in a Damaged Brain by a director called Roman Scavellini. I've got Nightmares in a Damaged Brain on video somewhere. I couldn't find it for this. I wanted it for this. I'll do it in another video though. But here's the thing. The distributor of that film, a guy called David Hamilton Grant, went to prison for having distributed Nightmares in a Damaged Brain, which I just think is absolutely disgusting. And it's crazy. And, you know, I just think that's ridiculous. But that aside, the punchline is, right, 2019, Nightmares in a Damaged Brain is on Amazon Prime. You can just watch it on Amazon Prime now, and I presume it's uncut. You can get it on Blu-ray from 88 Films, I think it is, as part of their slasher film collection. And yet in 1984 or 5 or whatever it was, a guy spent a year in prison just for handling this made-up piece of fiction. Anyway, sorry, I'm ranting now, aren't I? Ranting. We'll have none of that. Geiger Punk says, in reference to the Don't Go in the House, he says, my grandfather worked at Bester Bell and tested those fireproof suits. Not sure what he would have thought of that. Apparently he didn't like the breathing apparatus that you could use with them, as the rubber tubes would melt, so he didn't bother with them. Oh God, that sounds really claustrophobic. Yeah. Now let's see. Jen178, hi there, how you doing? Love the t-shirt. I love the t-shirt too. Let me show you a bit more. This is, as you can see, this is alternative artwork for The Last Days of Jack Sparks, my novel, as if I haven't mentioned it 10,000 times already. And it was drawn for me by Ray Zell. Now that name may ring a bell with a few people, or indeed a Zell with some people. Ray created Pandora, the comic strip Pandora, for Kerrang magazine, which has been going for about 30 odd years now. And he's one of my best friends. And he drew this for me as a surprise. I think it might have been on a birthday card or something. Like, suddenly I open up the birthday card and the cover is this, like, alternative artwork for Sparks. And let me know if you really like this artwork, actually, because maybe I could get it printed up on a t-shirt or something if people really like it. Drop me a line through my website at jasonarnott.com, or tell me here, or whatever pleases you. Kay Allington. This is Kevin Allington, who is my cousin. Hello, cuz. He says, here's a question for me, and he says, God bless family asking you questions during a live stream, eh? That's good support, good support. And Kevin is very supportive. He pre-ordered Ghoster, I think, practically before anybody else. Was there any key plot points or twists that didn't make it into the final sparks, or ones that did but came very late in the process? Oh God. Okay. That's a tricky one. I can't entirely remember. I'll have to have a think about that, because that will take a bit of thinking, and I don't want to sit here going, because that's not very entertaining during a live stream, is it? People don't like that. What I can tell you that is fresh in my brain is that there was a whole chapter that I deleted from Sparks. I know this isn't the question really, but I deleted a whole chapter from Sparks in which Jack went to Norway. And what I'm going to do, I might at some point make that chapter available to people, but I'm going to do it within my Patreon. I've rebooted my Patreon campaign, which allows people who like your work to support you on an ongoing basis by paying you however much per month in a very kind fashion. And in return, they get these benefits, which are also called perks. And basically, what I'm going to do with Patreon is turn it into like a VIP cult, or no, not cult, club. Oh, Freudian slip there. Definitely not a cult. Yes. So anyway, what was I talking about? Yes. So when I reach a goal, one of the goals in my Patreon, I'm going to make that chapter from the Sparks book available to my patrons, and so that should be a lot of fun. I'll have to think about that question, Kevin. Yeah, that is a good one. Now, I think it's time to actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the first prize draw, because there might be some people who have very kindly pre-ordered Ghoster, and they're waiting to see if they've won the prize draw watching this, and they don't particularly want to sit through all of my babble. So let's see who is going to win this. I'll sign this, dedicate it to whoever, send it anywhere in the world. This exact book with these pages, and probably a few more actually. I think there's only 3 pages there. I'll add some to that. Let's do that now. I'm going to use an iPad, a random generator called Pretty Random, to pick a number. As you can see there, I've got it set up to pick numbers from 1 to 100. Now, there are a few people in the list of pre-ordering deities I've realized who I know in real life, kind of close. I know them closely in real life. People like my cousin Kevin, TV's James Moran, the writer James Moran. It's like 3 or 4 people. So if any of those people come up, I'm just going to do this again, because they could probably prize a signed book out of me if they really were ludicrous enough to want one anytime they like. But let's see. Okay, are we ready? Yes, Jason, get on with it, for Christ's sake. Here we go. Randomize. 44. Can you see that? Just want to make sure you can see that. Yes, you can see that. Right, so I'm now going to look through the list on jasonarnott.com/ghoster, and I have to make sure I get this right. So 20, 30, 40. Okay, so this is someone called, I have to make sure I get this right, otherwise it'd be terrible. It'd be like that La La Land thing, wouldn't it? I mean, obviously on a slightly smaller scale. Yeah, smaller scale. 30, 40. Yeah, Pepe, with a Twitter handle of Joe Prog. So, I don't know, chances are you're not watching this, Joe/Pepe, but you have won the first Jack Sparks book. I'm going to do a second prize draw, though, a bit later, out of all 109 people on this list, apart from the people I know really well. And then, so someone else will win another Jack Sparks a bit later. Nice. Right, let's get this Doctor Who box set open, for the love of God. I explained this earlier, but in case you join me, the reason I haven't opened this is that I was going to open it in a proper sort of dedicated unboxing video, but I got ill, and so the box set came out and I wasn't in a position to do an unboxing video. And the thing is, I think unboxing videos are only really work for you as a creator if on YouTube if you get in there really early. You know, no one wants to watch 14 unboxing videos, do they? No one wants that. So I'm not going to do this in a great drawn out fashion, don't worry. So if you're not interested, which is fine, you can ideally keep watching, maybe put the kettle on, perhaps prepare yourself an alcoholic beverage. Look at that. I'm just going to smell it, sorry. That doesn't really smell of much. First of all, I know the quality of this cam isn't all that great, but you can get the idea that this is a lovely cover. I mean, the Sixth Doctor's coat is much derided, isn't it? It's multicolored dream coat, but it doesn't create a lovely cover there. Sorry about that. Yeah, Lee Binding does incredible work in this artwork. It really is fantastic. Now, I like the way, I mean, it's a little bit odd, but I do like the way that these box sets have this thing that comes off. I'm not entirely sure why. I suppose, actually, no, I know why. I suppose it's so you can see all of the artwork completely unmolested by logos and stuff. I guess you can kind of choose to display it like this. So it is a nice touch, because these box sets are very much aimed at the connoisseur, aren't they? The Doctor Who connoisseur. On the back, you've got that lovely space station that the camera swings around at the start of the Trial of a Time Lord, which is this season. Actually, I'm thinking of doing a video about that sequence, because I interviewed Mike Tucker for Doctor Who magazine, and I've got the audio of that. So as long as the audio is good, I might overlay the audio of Mike Tucker, the special effects guy, talking about that sequence. Anyway, so let's see what's inside this. It's not quite so easy doing it like this, but still. That's very nice. The Doctor standing outside the TARDIS with whatever's going on down there. I haven't seen this season for a while, I have to point out. Of course, there had to be a courtroom moment, didn't there? And there's Perry in a bald cap. That's delightful. Absolutely delightful. And there, and there they are again. Oh, Christ. And there's the TARDIS interior. Very nice indeed. Very nice. I mean, I'm not sure if these pictures, or these, you know, the choice of illustrations is quite as exciting as they have been on other box sets. You know, not the actual artwork itself, I hasten to add, but the choice of actual imagery. You know, but let's have a look at this this booklet. We'll have a quick look at this. No stone left unturned, but we'll turn the stones over pretty quick. Once again, you've got a lovely glossy booklet in there. You know, another thing about this whole unboxing thing, because I haven't done the unboxing video, I haven't been able to watch this thing. I've really wanted to watch some of the special features, but I haven't been able to open it up, because I've been thinking, well, I better save it. I better do the unboxing video first, haven't I? Otherwise, I won't be able to do the unboxing video. Honestly, YouTube creators, eh? Ludicrous. Yeah, there's some lovely stuff in here. That's very nice, isn't it? Look, there's Bonnie Langford with a vervoid and some delightful leaves. If I remember rightly, she wasn't so happy when she met the vervoids in the terror of the vervoids. In fact, she screamed to a very high pitch indeed. Yeah, there's so much stuff in this. I was down the pub with the writer John Higgs last night, and he was telling me that he really enjoyed these special features. He said the Bonnie Langford interview was very good, and there's just lots of stuff, lots of good stuff throughout. So let's just have a quick look through here, shall we? See if there's anything exciting on any of the discs. Make sure you can see that. It's quite handy doing this and being able to see what I'm showing you. I can see the full picture, which is nice. Vervoids. Yeah, there's that fella. I can't turn that round. So yeah, Again, it's not the most exciting image. Where's Syl? I mean, I know he's on the cover. Ah, that's Linda Bellingham, isn't it? From the Bisto ads. Am I right in saying that? Yeah, so just lots of pictures of the Doctor and stuff. It's not very monstery. I mean, there are monsters in this. Where's Drathro the robot? And But having said all that, I mean, the interior is very nice. It's just not all that monstery. That's all I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. I don't want that Lee Binding coming after me because his artwork's fantastic. It's just the anyway. I think this makes up for the whole thing, the cover, because it's just gorgeous. So there we are. That is the season 23 Doctor Who box set, and I can now watch it. How fantastic is that? Right. Let's see here. Any questions that I haven't answered? Yes. Oh, good reaction to the alternative artwork for Jack Sparks on this. Cliff Shelton likes it. Gen178 likes it. Good. That's good. Yes. And lots of people saying, congrats, Pepe, you lucky bastard. Pepe, who won the who's won the Jack Sparks book. I'll have to drop him a line. DVD. Geigerpunk says, DVD packing factory germs. Oh, actually, I forgot to smell the discs. I love the smell of new discs. It's not quite the glue that I prefer. For some reason, when you used to go into DVD stores in America, the whole store would smell of that DVD smell. It was just fantastic. And yes, Geigerpunk, I agree. Drathro is a bit too close a name to Jethro to be scary. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I can't fault you. Now, I'll try to include everything in this live stream that goes on this channel to make sure that everyone's vaguely happy. So we've got Doctor Who, VHS. We haven't got any retro video game stuff except for this, but I think you'll find this will make up for that, he said, hopefully. Do you remember I did a video on Space Harrier? In fact, I did a couple of videos on the arcade game Space Harrier, the hydraulic shooter that I loved when I was a kid. And I mentioned that I used to sit in the hydraulic thing. And I think in one of the videos, I may have mentioned that there's a picture of me somewhere playing Space Harrier. And seeing as we're celebrating the birth of Ghoster, why not show you that picture right now? There I am. There I am with my pudding basin haircut and my NHS spectacles, having the time of my young life playing Space Harrier. Oh my God, I love that game so much. And I'm so happy to have found it on this compilation for, I can't even remember what it is, but it's a compilation for the PS3, and oh my God, I love that. Yeah, that's taken in the Lowestoft Claremont Pier, which is still there. There's still an arcade in it, but like most arcades these days, it's lacking, to say the least. I think there's probably another video to be done on this subject, but I don't really understand why arcades changed in the way they did. Why did arcades change so much? Well, actually, I do understand it to a point. When it was killed by video games, obviously, wasn't it? Because we kind of then had home arcades in our house, but I don't know, I still felt like arcade games could do things that our home games couldn't. So I'm not sure why arcade games died out quite so fast. I don't know. Well, I mean, there are arcade games these days. It's just that they are generally attuned to young kids, and so young kids today, they want different stuff, don't they? Them young kids, oh yeah, they want different stuff. Cool, blimey. I don't know why I adopted that accent. My arm's getting tired now, so hopefully you've enjoyed that picture. I hope you've had a good time with that. Yes, Gardenia 6, or young Jason in his happy place. Very much so. And that was probably taken by my mum, by the way, who is fantastic. She sent me this super cute card for the release of Ghoster I won't show you the whole thing because there's a lovely message in there. There's a tenner in there. Look at that. How cute is that? And she drew the cover of the book. It probably won't focus all that well, but yeah, she drew the cover of the book, and I just think that's so cute. There's the crack in the phone screen because the cover, as you may have seen when I've held this up several times, it's like a phone screen with a crack in it. Lovely. Thank you so much, Mum. Love you if you're watching. Yes, my mum is probably watching this, folks. She's read Ghoster, and it's got sex scenes in it, so sweet Jesus. Bad Wolf Archives says to me, or asks me, do you like The Clash? Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, what I've heard of The Clash, I like. I mean, how can you not like Should I Stay or Should I Go? But Jesus, I don't know what other songs of The Clash I've heard. I've never been much of a punk guy. I mean, I appreciate it, but my kind of year zero for music, when I got really excited about music, was thrash metal. And it still is. That's still the most exciting type of music for me. As happens with a lot of people, my musical taste is still stuck in the mid-80s, really, with lots of German thrash metal bands. But there were a lot of newer bands I like too. You know, Slipknot, obviously, I like. I did a book about Slipknot back in 2001. Still get the odd royalty check for about 50 quid every 6 months, which I think is pretty cool after 18 years. Yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it? Lovely. Jen178 says, do you have any pointers for other horror, etc. writers? Any pointers? God, that's so broad. What would be the main thing that I would say? Pointers for horror writers. I don't know. I can't. Is there anything you had in mind that was more specific, Jen? Because it's so hard to narrow stuff down, isn't it? Sort of just general pointers. I mean, I suppose, you know, just the fact it's a horror writer doesn't make my advice much different from what I said earlier. Plan out what you're going to do, then sit down and do it. In terms of scaring people, I don't know, it's hard to give pointers on how to scare people because it's all subjective. And as a writer, you have to write things that disturb you. Actually, I think that's a good pointer for a horror writer. Write stuff that uniquely disturbs you and worries you or even upsets you, and hope that other people are also going to be disturbed, upset and worried by it. Or rather, you know, catharsis is a really powerful thing in horror, isn't it? So hope that your need for catharsis in one shape or form is the same, that matches someone else's need for catharsis. Because I think whether we are conscious of it or not, catharsis is what, you know, almost said Doctor Who then, got Doctor Who on the brain, but actually for me, Doctor Who is horror. I've always thought of Doctor Who as a horror show. I was a bit confused about that for a while because I was wondering why I didn't like much sci-fi stuff. I hardly, you know, I mean, I like a lot of sci-fi stuff I like. I just don't love any other sci-fi stuff in the same way that I love Doctor Who. And the reason for that is that Doctor Who, for me, is a horror show. It's all about death. It really is. It's about people getting possessed by alien forces and dying and killing people. That's basically Doctor Who. Well, you know, at least my favourite Doctor Who stuff is. Yeah. So yeah, Jen, if you've got anything sort of more specific, perhaps that you might want to know about horror writing, just ask away, ask again in there. That'd be great. Jambo Shango and the Randy Moles Movie Show. Hey, dude. And hey, dude, right back to you. Thanks for joining us. Now, let's see. I think it could be time for another video nasty interlude. Oh, something's fallen down there. Hopefully it wasn't an expensive video nasty. Now, here's quite a cover. I really like this cover, actually, because it's nice and minimalist. And look at that. Absurd. Now, what do you think of that as a name for a horror movie? I think that's fantastic because, you know, you don't really expect a film called Absurd to be the name of a horror movie, do you? Not, let alone a really nasty slasher movie like this one. I don't even know why this is called Absurd. I don't know how it came to be called Absurd. It's quite absurd that it's called Absurd. But what this is a kind of pseudo sequel to a previous video nasty that also made it onto the list of 72 banned films, called The Anthropophagus Beast. I think that's how it's pronounced. I think that there's loads of different versions of how to pronounce that. The Anthropophagus Beast starred George Eastman as a cannibalistic madman who went around ripping people's guts out, and even ripped out his own guts and ate them, just for general kicks, just for a laugh. He did it. Yeah. So, and so this is the sequel. This is George Eastman back as the cannibal gut muncher, and this time it's in more kind of domestic surroundings. He attacks a house and sticks someone's head in the oven at one point, and their face comes out all black. I mean, a lot of, you know, these were video nasties at the time, but a lot. I mean, for one thing, the effects in a lot of these films have dated quite considerably, and for another thing, the actual sort of gore isn't as strong as it is today. I mean, these days gore can be incredibly strong, but it's still got a really nasty kind of grimy vibe to it, and that's one of the really special things about some of the horror films of the 70s and the 80s. And I really love this box, this packaging, and I really like the film, which is available on through 88 Films. Actually, they put out a nice version of this film. They did a Kickstarter type thing that I went in for and got this on Blu-ray along with the Anthropophagus Beast, Massacre in Dinosaur Valley, and Beyond the Darkness, which is also known as Blue Omega. So I'll put a few links down there. So if you're watching the replay version, because this will all be stored on YouTube and it'll be free for anyone to watch, and I'll put a couple of links down there to any film that I mentioned, so you can easily buy them. And of course, there will be affiliate links. Oh yes. Where's the harm, eh? There's a little bit of action there from the back. You can see Mad George there, struggling with a man and struggling with someone else. Oh yeah, he puts a drill through someone's head there. Yes, a bald gentleman's head, and it's quite an unpleasant effect. This is a great label, Medusa Video. I don't know if you remember, if you were around during the time of the video shops, then you'll remember Medusa. Yeah. These are silica gel sachets. In case you're wondering, they're not packages of cocaine. Don't be ridiculous. Keep those in the chimney. You put these in, they help stop the tape from getting moldy. Yeah, because you can get white mold on your tape, and no one wants that. No one wants that. It's like every tape collector's nightmare. Yeah, so that's nice. Another video nasty, another one that got pulled off the shelves, even though it was just a made-up bit of fiction that people shot on cameras. Yeah, basically what happened there is people filmed a load of actors pretending to do stuff, put it onto a tape so other people could enjoy it, and then other people went, no, that will deprave and corrupt you. Off to prison with you. Guy Gapunk says to me, I'm guessing Horror of Fang Rock. This is a Doctor Who question. Hooray. I'm guessing Horror of Fang Rock rates quite highly on your list of faves then. Yes. Yes, Horror of Fang Rock. Yeah, because I mentioned how Doctor Who is all about death and people being possessed. And Horror of Fang Rock is just, it's the epitome of that, isn't it? I almost said epiphany then, and I would have made myself look really stupid. And, you know, I don't know why I mentioned that. I almost said that. That was ill-advised. But yeah, Horror of Fang Rock is, it's in my top 5. I'd be so bold as to say that's in my top 5 classic Doctor Who, and actually probably all-time Doctor Who stories. It's just incredible. And I should do a dedicated video about the Horror of Fang Rock, actually. I should probably do the odd video that's just about a story that I really like in Doctor Who and make it just about that. Unfortunately for you, that would mean a video about the Invisible Enemy at some point. And maybe the Horns of Nimon. I really like the Horns of Nimon. Is there anything you can do if a tape does get mouldy? Yeah, this is Guy Gapunk again. He fears he has a few tapes like that. You can actually. I can't personally do it. Well, there are 2 things you can do. the tape gets moldy, covered in sort of white, dry mold, you can get a really old video player that you don't use for anything else, and you can put it in there and wind the tape backwards and forwards, and that can dislodge the white mold if it's dry, and it can just vanish. Actually, I don't know how permanent a solution that is, because there's still mold somewhere within the tape case, but there are people who can demold a tape if it's not too far gone, I guess, and they just do this. It's quite a painstaking process. I think they use a certain machine to do it. So, you know, if there's a really precious tape that anyone's got out there that has mold issues, it's not necessarily beyond the pale. Is that the correct saying? Beyond the pale? I don't know. Anyway, beyond help. That's what I really should have said, because that's unquestionable. Yes. Let's see. Marvelous. Nice to see so many people here. Thank you. Now, let me just show you this. I was only going to do 3 video nasties, but let's just have a look at this. God, that's quite wrinkled. You see that outer plastic is quite wrinkled, isn't it? I've got 2 of these though, so maybe the other one's better. Still, Evil Speak is a hell of a film, and this is another one that's available. I think this is 88 Films as well. Yeah, 88 Films have really done a pretty good job on the old video nasty front, picking up the video nasties. Yes, Evil Speak is great. It stars Clint Howard, brother of Ron Howard, as a kid who is bullied at school. Yeah, he gets probably gets the stuffing kicked out of him. He's at a military academy as well. His name's Stanley Cooper Smith, the blurb reminds me. And it's one of those films, he finds a computer that seems to be possessed by Satan. And this computer offers him the means to get even with the bullies. And the film is quite slow. It's a bit of a slow burn. It has a build-up, but then at the end, the whole thing just goes absolutely nuts. And it's so gory. It's brilliant. I think the gore stands up really well today, and I would recommend this film to anyone, especially for the last 15 minutes are just like a gore fest, with people's heads being sliced in half with swords and all sorts, which is very much the kind of thing you want. Yeah. Actually, I don't think I can show you the back of this because it seems to contravene YouTube guidelines vis-a-vis the female form. So I'm not going to show you the back of this, but please know that, oh, more sachets falling out, that Evil Speak is definitely one of the more recommended video nasties, I'd say. Warren Hart, my fellow video collecting man, says to me, Driller Killer's cover is the one I show to video nasty virgins. Oh God, yeah. Now you see, I do have Driller Killer on VHS in its video nasty form, but I kind of hesitated to have it in this video because I'm not entirely sure of the YouTube guidelines in terms of really nasty, gory imagery, and so I didn't want to push that one. You know, I don't want to get the whole live stream pulled. That would be no good at all. But yeah, on the cover of Driller Killer, Abel Ferrara's art house nasty flick, there's a guy with blood pouring down his face and a drill bit right in his head. He's being drilled in the brain, basically, and the tagline is something like, "The blood runs in rivers." And so, I mean, the only thing I have sympathy with in terms of the whole video nasties for Raw is just the fact that, you know, children, really young children, could have been seeing all this stuff. Like, you know, toddlers could have been seeing a guy screaming with blood pouring down his face and a drill going into his head. And that was not ideal. I think, you know, what happened was terrible. The authorities just really overreacted to the whole thing, and fueled by the media, you know, magazines like the Daily Mail rambling on about nasties and stuff, and people being warped. I actually wrote a long piece about video nasties for SFX. I might dig that up at some point and put it into an ebook or something like that, or maybe give it to my patrons on Patreon. By the way, the Patreon address is down there in the video link, patreon.com/Jason Arnold. And if you back me at $5 or above by December the 1st, you'll get a Christmas card from Jack Sparks every year while you're a patron of mine. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to. Oh, I mean, obviously, I won't be writing these Christmas cards. It'll be the ghost of Jack Sparks writing them to my patrons. So, you know, don't get me wrong there. Last Avenger 85. Hello, how you doing? He or she says to me, did you ever get raided back in the day? No, I didn't. I mean, I didn't start collecting videos really till I think until after the video nasties thing had come and gone. But you know, there were raids. There were certainly. I used to go to video fairs in like Watford and stuff. There were film fairs where you could go and buy videos, and not always videos that were strictly legal because they hadn't been certificated. There's a whole story there, but there's a whole thing with certification, and the old videos were no longer legal because they didn't have certificates on it. That was another part of the whole Wild West scenario, the fact that the old films didn't have certificates in the same way that cinema films did. Yeah. And as Phil Stark says in the chat, the thrill of tracking down a moody copy was worthwhile. Texas Chainsaw and Exorcist were banned for years. Yeah, I mean, that's incredible to think of, isn't it? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Exorcist, which are now regarded almost as not art house films, but you know, they're obviously revered as horror classics, even by people who don't really respect horror. Have to acknowledge the power of those two films, and they were both banned for years. Ridiculous. But then again, as Phil Stark says, and I did write a piece about this for my newsletter, the Necronopicon newsletter, I kind of do miss the thrill of the chase of trying to hunt down uncut copies of things. Yeah, that was really exciting, especially when you saw a film and you kind of enjoyed it. And if it was a horror film, it would be really fun if it was, you know, really pretty gory and nasty. And then you saw the uncut version and it's like, oh my God, this is even nastier than I thought it was. Yeah, it was particularly exciting to go to America. Cliff Shelton says to me, got a question for you. Have you ever thought about who you'd like to play your characters should the books ever be made on film or telly? Yeah, who'd be a good Jack Sparks? I have thought about this. I mean, obviously, you know, you can't help thinking of, you know, Christian Bale for everything. Jake Gyllenhaal, I think, would be an amazing Jack Sparks. I say this, I mean, you know, I've liked everything I've seen him in, but I particularly love Nightcrawler. I think Nightcrawler is one of the best films of the last 10 years. It had a really great impact on me, and his character in that was just so cool. He's a great character actor, I think, Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah, I haven't really had time to think about Kate Collins, who's the lead character in Ghoster. Just briefly, let me tell you that in Ghoster, Kate Collins is a paramedic who is about to move in with her boyfriend, who she met on Tinder 3 months ago. They've had this whirlwind Tinder romance, and she's about to move in with him, and he ghosts her. He just disappears, falls out of contact. She travels down to Brighton, where the book is set and where her boyfriend Scott lives, to find that the whole place has been gutted. It's just completely empty. All his stuff has gone. And all his stuff has gone, but he's somehow managed to leave his smartphone behind. So Kate is faced with something of a dilemma. Does she dare open up Scott's phone to find out where he's gone and why he has seemingly ghosted her? What would you do? Tell me in chat. Tell me in chat. Also, if you've received your pre-ordered copy of the book today, as an astonishing amount of people seem to have done on Twitter today, they've been posting pictures of the book arriving. If you pre-order the book and it arrives today, write "got" in capital letters in chat. And if you intend to buy the book, maybe write "getting." That would be nice. Wouldn't that be nice to see? Yes. Scarlett Johansson for Kate Collins. Yeah, why not? That'd be excellent. Scarlett, yeah, I just haven't thought about it. Truth be told, when I'm writing, I don't really think too much about the exact physical appearance of my characters that much. I think I sort of tend to, got, that's a lovely trio. And a getting from Odd Bandicoot 96. Thank you very much indeed. Cliff Shelton, Shipwreck Studios, he got yesterday. Thank you, Cliff. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I don't tend to think about what characters look like all that much. Oh no, actually, Geigerpunk meant that Scarlett Johansson could play Jack Sparks. And why not? If Doctor Who can be a lady, then why can't Jack Sparks? Jacqueline Sparks. The last days of Jackie Sparks. Yep, where's the harm? I'm going to do a bonus. Since there are a few people watching, for reasons better known to themselves, you know, it must be a slow evening or something. I don't know what the explanation is. But I'm going to do a VHS unboxing. A guerrilla VHS unboxing. I've had this thing. I've had this box of tapes. I don't even know how many tapes are in here. But I've had them sitting around for about 2 or 3 months. And as I've said before in other videos, I have a habit of doing this. I'll buy stuff, especially when I'm writing stuff. I will yes, just had to approve a comment there from someone because YouTube's robots thought it was a bit rude, and I suppose it was a bit rude, but I think it's rude in an acceptable way. It's a joke about fruit fetishists. Thank you for that, Mr. Punk. Okay, so I don't know what's in this. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, I've got a habit of buying stuff and then not opening it because I wait and sort of use it as what's the word, an inducement for myself, like a prize. And then I either sort of never feel like I deserve to open it, or I just forget about it and never get around to it. It's stupid. But at least it does give me things to open in videos on this channel and live streams. And actually, after this, we will wrap this up. I mean, feel free to ask any more questions you have out there. But after this, I'm going to open this, see what's in here, do the second prize draw, see who's going to win the second book of Jack Sparks and the red pen edit pages. Mick G predicts that the first video out of this box is going to be BMX Bandits. I know for a fact that that's not going to happen, Mick. I was never really into BMXs or bikes or anything of that nature. And obviously I do realise that that wasn't a genuine prediction there from you, Mick. Yeah. Well, it's been a very good day. I've really enjoyed today. It's been really nice. In fact, the last few days have been amazing because the ebook came out, the Ghoster ebook came out on Tuesday, and people were posting pictures of their Kindle saying it had arrived. And so many people posted pictures of Ghoster when it turned up today, the physical book. It was just so wonderful. It really, you know, as when you're an author, it's a very solitary pursuit. And you spend a lot of time by yourself wondering whether the nonsense you're writing is ever going to be appreciated by anybody. It's so weird. It's just such a gamble. You can spend a whole year writing a book without any idea of whether anyone's going to be interested in it. All you have are your own instincts, really, and obviously your editors and agents kind of backing and your beta readers, and that's obviously a lot. But still, there's a big X factor there. This is vodka, by the way. Just been swigging that throughout. It goes so well with wine, I find. Clearly not vodka. And what is this? God, I can hardly remember. Ah, there's 2 tapes in here. What a treat. Right. So here's the first one wrapped in bubble wrap. Okay. Hello, my love for Doctor Who, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Hello, right back at you. Thank you for joining us. Last Avenger 85 asks me, do you watch your tapes or do you prefer Blu-ray DVD for movie watching? I sort of go through phases where I enjoy watching videos. Most of the time I do watch Blu-ray or DVD or streaming. I mean, I'm not like a Luddite when it comes to all this stuff. You know, I do actually you know, love the films themselves. But I mean, look at all this stuff behind me. How cool does that look? All those shelves with like these big video cases. Unfortunately, my landlord recently told me that after 10 years of living here, I need to move out because he wants to sell the place. God, that flew out of my mouth a bit fast, didn't it? Yeah. That's a bit of a shocker. I've been here for 10 years, as I said, and so I need to find a new place to live in the next few months. And I need to sort through all this stuff. But as John Higgs pointed out, my mate John in the pub last night, I could probably do a good YouTube video of going through a load of videotapes and deciding which ones to keep and which ones to sell. There's always a YouTube video or a horror story waiting to be made out of tragedy. Actually, me having to leave the flat doesn't really qualify as tragedy. I'll grant you that. Anyway, Geiger Punk, are you going to give us a tour of those shelves sometime? Yeah, before you move and they all get changed around. Yeah, I know, absolutely. I really will. Yeah, I don't really know why I haven't done that. I could do a video, really, couldn't I? Some people probably watch a video of me just going around with a camera, just filming the spines or occasionally taking a video out. Yeah, I definitely will do that before I move. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I do have a video in storage that I haven't edited yet of me rearranging my shelves to create a set of Doctor Who shelves, putting all the Doctor Who stuff together in one place and sort of step by step the decisions I made. It's a geek's dream, possibly. Right, come on. Here we go. Revenge of the Defenders. Now, yeah, it is nice, isn't it? Hello, John Higgs. John Higgs is waving. Give John Higgs a wave. Say hello, John, everybody. What a lovely man. John was very instrumental in helping me to map out Ghoster in the first place. You talk about planning a novel in advance, Mick. Then, yeah, I think, was it Mick? No, maybe it was Cliff. I can't remember who asked about the tip for writing. Apart from, yeah, but yeah, John and me would sit in the Basket Makers pub in Brighton, and I had a big notepad, and I wrote loads of stuff as we brainstormed. The brainstorm is really good. Anyway, back to this thing in my hand. I think this is a Japanese animation thing, or maybe it's a live action thing with sort of animated robots, but how cool does that look? This live action adventure story features Brain. It's an acronym, Brain. It doesn't tell you what Brain is an acronym for. A renegade master computer that tries to take over the world. A young boy named Stevie discovers a giant robot, the only force capable of fighting the monsters created by the evil Brain. There is a steamroller monster that flattens a city, a robot dinosaur, and a multitude of other horrors. I am totally going to watch this. How have I left this? Oh, lots of people saying hello to John. Nice. And all read to John, says Jane Atkinson, who's in Norway. That's a bit confusing, isn't it? Lovely. Yep. Revenge of the Defenders. So, I mean, that should have been sitting on a shelf so I could enjoy it for quite some time, shouldn't it? Yeah. Oh, spines. I love a good spine. Yeah. There's one more tape in this box. You're right, Jane Atkinson. Life is confusing. You're not wrong there. You're not wrong. I've got no idea what. I can't remember buying this one. I can see what it is through this bubble wrap. The seller, John, not John Higgs, another John, Jon John, is very good at packaging. And in fact, VHS collectors tend to be very good at packaging for each other because we know what it's like when you get a VHS tape and there's like a corner chipped off it, or, I mean, all collectors understand that, don't they? Whether it's retro games or what. It's, oh God, it's lucky I didn't show you this straight away because I'm going to have to censor this a bit. The Last Reunion. There, see that? Can you imagine why my fingers are strategically placed where they are? Can you? Yes. That's lovely, isn't it? Leo Fong. I've genuinely seen Leo Fong in other films. So this is actually set in 1945. It's about the liberation of the Philippines. And it's about a commando team of Filipino guerrillas and American GIs spearheaded by blah 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 on a mission to penetrate a heavily guarded mansion and assassinate the principal inhabitant. The principal inhabitant, indeed. General Matsuda, a prominent Japanese commander. Okay, so yeah, just a lovely excuse for a load of swords and people getting shot. Yes, Phil Stark, that's right. Yeah, Leo Fong of Low Blow fame. There we go, a nice lo-fi label there. The last, oh, look at that. I like a side label. Yeah, in the VHS community, we call these side labels. I know it's confusing jargon, but nevertheless, oh, there's a nice nice box there for a different video label, and that's quite a rare one. Lovely. So, God, I almost showed you something that YouTube wouldn't want me to show you then. Okay, so unless you have any other quick queries, I'm going to do the second prize draw. Aha! Odd Bandicoot 96. Where did you get your Cyberman helmet from? Looks fantastic. Yeah, I love this thing. There's a place in Brighton that I love called Snooper's Paradise. If you've been to Brighton and you've been to the North Lanes, then chances are you'll have already been around Snooper's Paradise. It's like an indoor market. It's one of those indoor markets with a load of glass cases with all kinds of curios and antiques and retro items and nonsense and tiny bird skulls in them. And you can walk around, and then if you see something you want, and you go to the front desk, and they come and give you a key, or they open up the cabinet for you. And yeah, one day that helmet was there, and I can't remember how much it was. This thing is pretty heavy. It's not lightweight. I mean, I don't know. I'm not very good at knowing what things are made of, but yeah, this thing is quite weighty. Why am I doing a Dalek voice? Incongruous, erroneous. Yeah. So yeah, it's amazing, and it wasn't like, you know, 200 quid or anything. It wasn't anything like that. I can't remember how much it was, but it was definitely a price that made me snap it up. It wasn't quite as much of a bargain as Geigerpunk picking up a Vectrex console for 12 quid, which I think is just outrageous. But it was still, you know, a pretty good price. And yeah, I do like these Cybermen. I like these Cybermen helmets. I mean, my favorite design of Cybermen will always be Earthshock, because when those Cybermen came around in Earthshock, it was the first time I'd actually seen a Doctor Who Cyberman serial, you know, when it was live on telly, because I wasn't watching Doctor Who at the time of the previous Cyberman serial, Revenge of the Cybermen. Is that right? Was that the last one? Yes, it was, wasn't it? I think. Yes. Sorry, I lost my Doctor Who knowledge there for a moment. I blamed the wine. And so, you know, those Cybermen were like my Cybermen. They were the Cybermen of my generation. And so, yeah. But also, I think those Earthshock Cybermen are great. I know they're not everybody's cup of gold, but for me, they're great. I love the fists. I love the boomy voice. They just look great. I don't care what you say. You know, I mean, I care what you say about lots of things, but when it comes to the Earthshock Cybermen, I'm not hearing you if you don't like them. Although I will hear you if you do like them. Looks like Amanda Holden, says Mick G. Amanda Holden. Let's have a look. Does that look like Amanda Holden? Ryan McGiven says, what is the rarest video that you own? Actually, I'll show you. I don't know if it's the rarest video that I own, but it's possibly my favorite, and it is one of the rarest. So hold on a sec. There is too much stuff in this room at the moment. There really is. All the more reason to have a declutter. Yeah, this Tomb of the Undead. I love this so much. I don't think you can quite get the true color of this through this webcam, but it's sort of it's a bit more of a vibrant, slightly more of a vibrant yellow. Yeah, I think maybe you can see it okay. But I just love, I don't know what it is. I love this cover so much. I think it's just all great. That's a great, I don't know, that's not really a font, is it? But I love, I love the way the title is drawn. I love that tagline, "Death was the only living thing," which means nothing. And I don't think that that really relates to the movie, which is also known as Garden of the Dead, by the way, and also Grave of the Undead. And I love the minimalism. I love the minimalism of the whole thing. It's just gorgeous. And it's incredibly rare. There are only 2 of these currently known to exist in the world. And there are lots of tapes as well. There's only one tape known to exist in the world. What they're called, we call them one-offs. And I do have a few of those. So I probably have rarer tapes in these, but this is one that sprung to mind that I could get from the shelves. You know, I did have a super rare video nasty called The Beast in Heat, but it was so expensive I just couldn't justify it, and I wasn't really that into it. Really, I think I only had it because I was trying to collect all the video nasties at the time, and I wanted to complete the whole set. And this thing was, I mean, some videos can be as much as like £2,000. I know. You're probably thinking, Jesus, a lot of you, when I say that. I didn't pay £2,000 for The Beast in Heat, but it was like, I don't know, it was quite a lot of money, and so I couldn't justify it financially. And I also found that, you know, it's scary enough putting a video into a VCR and being afraid of it getting mangled in the machine, but imagine putting The Beast in Heat, that's worth God knows how much money, into a VCR, and I would just never want to play it. So in the end, I couldn't justify keeping it, and I sold it to someone. And I'm glad I did, because I think he probably appreciates it a lot more. But yeah, Tomb of the Undead. Oh my God. Beautiful. I love that so much. I might, you know, this has given me some good ideas for other videos, really. I should just do a video of like 3 of my favorites in my collection, shouldn't I? You know, nothing, you know, there's nothing like a bit of passion. Right. Okay. So I'm going to do the second and final prize draw for my pre-ordering deities, who just made such an amazing leap of faith in buying pre-ordering Ghoster. It's just blown me away. It's fantastic. Thank you so much, anyone who's watching this who pre-ordered the book, and anyone who, you know, plans to buy it. You rock. It's blown me away, actually. I didn't expect, I wasn't sure whether we'd get to 100, let alone go past that and get to, like, what is it, 109, I think. Yeah, it's 109. Okay, so here we go. Randomized from 1 to 109. 24. Who is number 24? Is it someone I know really well? In which case, I will just roll the imaginary dice again. So that's 20, and then Phil Lunt. I know Phil Lunt in real life. Sorry, Phil. I'll give you a copy of the book if you want one. But I'm going to roll the dice again. That had to happen, didn't it? But at least I had a plan B ready and waiting. Okay, here we go. Let me just see the screen again so I can get it. There we go. Who's going to win? 62. Sort of it's a bit of it's a really weird game of bingo, isn't it? Right, 10, no, yes. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now hold on, sorry. I have to make sure I get this right. So that's 11, 21, 31, 41, 51, 61. Remy. It's Remy, whose Twitter name, funnily enough, is Remy. R-A-M-M-I. Cool. Remy wins. So Remy and Pepe The winners of this have got very cute names, haven't they? Remy and Pepe have won Jack Sparks books with red pen edit pages inside and a lovely Jack Sparks bookmark. And now we're coming up to sweet Lord above. Yes, this live stream has already, appropriately enough, gone on for the length of your average VHS rental movie from 1985. Yes, 85 minutes was always a brilliant running time for a film when you rented a video, I think, because you just knew it was going to be quite a lean movie that really got to the point. To this day, I think a film needs a really good reason to be more than 2 hours long, unless it's Goodfellas, obviously. Goodfellas can be as long as it likes. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me on this. I'm going to, down there, I'm going to put links to the films that I've mentioned, the video nasties that you can actually buy on Blu-ray. I'll put a link to my Patreon rather, and anything else that springs to mind. So, it's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed this. I think I might do a live stream again sooner rather than later. I definitely won't wait for the next novel to come out. Thank you, Jane. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to go away now. So have a fantastic night. Thanks for all your support, and embrace your obsessions. Bye.